super heavyweight category in Tokyo did not disappoint. How long have we been waiting for this session? How long have we been talking about, documenting, predicting what it is that Lasha was going to do? And finally, he did the thing that we've been waiting for, and it was just oh so glorious. I've said it before with Lasha, but I'm going to say it again. When you watch other weightlifters and they put in a lift that they're going to go out and attempt, you think to yourself, oh great, I can't wait to watch and see if they can now make this lift. But with Lasha, when he puts in an attempt, you think, oh good, I can't wait that he's about to finally show us that he can make this lift that we already knew that he could make. It's like when he puts in the number, we know it's going to happen, rather than let's watch and see if he can do it. We already know that he's capable of these numbers. He just teases us competition after competition, just adding barely anything, but just enough to keep us excited and engaged as fans of the sport. Now, it probably comes as absolutely no surprise that today's Tokyo deal, the final Tokyo deal, is the Lasha Talakadze, I believe, 500 t-shirt. 15% off. The link is down below. Let's get straight into this session. There were 7 athletes. There were originally going to be 8 in this category, but unfortunately Walid Badani from Algeria, who was definitely a medal contender, had to withdraw last night because he came down with the illness that's been going around. That left us with, we had Jiri Orsag, the GOAT from Czechoslovakia, well, the Czechoslovakian GOAT, Man Assad from Syria, my boy Enzo Kwargi from the Netherlands, David Leety, just such a legend from New Zealand, the happiest lifter out there, the actual GOAT, Lasha Talakadze from Georgia, Hoja Mohammed Toychev from Turkmenistan, and then of course a new Iranian Goliath, Ali Davoudi. And so it was New Zealand's David Leety who got the game off to a start with his opening snatch of 173 kilos. He kept his headphones on until the last minute, came out, smoked the lift. Jiri Orsag from the Czech Republic was the next up, hitting 175 kilos pretty comfortably. Next, Enzo Kwargi, just 20 years of age, I believe he is, also came out with the same weight at 175 kilos, showing off just how dynamic, fast he is for such a big guy. He made that lift too. David Leety, playing the smart game, just jumped up to 178 kilos for his second attempt, and again, he hit a very nice lift. Also worth pointing out, actually, very quickly, heaviest person in this category was Lasha, 177.00. David Leety, 176 point something, so very, very close. In fact, when I last spoke to David in Rome, he told me that he had weighed over 180 kilos at one point during his career, so David is a very big guy. Orsag then followed Leety and hit 180 kilos on his second attempt. And then again, Enzo Kwargi came out with 180 kilos also, but unfortunately for him, his lockout wobbled a little bit, and the referees, as they have been doing a lot recently, gave him red lights. He tried again, but this time his lockout actually failed entirely, and he dropped the barbell. So he'd be credited with 175. David Leety took another 5 kilo jump up to 183 kilos for his final attempt, and he got it overhead, but a soft lockout on his left elbow cost him the decision. So he would end up with 178. Toychev then came out 184 kilos for the Turkmenistan lifter on his opener, and despite maybe a slight wobble, he survived some of the jury deliberations. It was a good lift. Jiri Orsag tried the same weight for his final attempt, but couldn't make it. He has possibly the worst pulling biomechanics in the sport, which is why there's such a ridiculous disparity between his snatch and clean and jerk. He'll regularly go like 170, 240, which is just crazy. Next, we had the big man from Syria, Man Assad, a potential medalist, especially now that Walid Badani was not going to be in this competition. He opened with a very comfortable 185 kilos. It kind of looked like maybe he could just take some safe attempts and rely on a strong clean and jerk to guarantee a medal. I mean, really, it's Lasha's going to win, and then there was going to be this nice battle between Man Assad and Ali Davoudi, and then maybe if either David Leety or Hoja Mohammed Toychev really lifted well, they might be able to contend for that bronze. Toychev then came out for his second attempt at 188 kilos. He had one red light, but yet again, the jury intervened and they overturned his decision on a very, very marginal movement of the elbow. Hashtag kick out the press out. Video coming soon. Manassad then came out for 195 kilos below his international record, and again he made that lift, just reinforcing his challenge for a medal. Hoja Mohammed Toychev then, having just fallen foul of the jury, he put 2 more kilos onto the bar and tried 190. This time he put the bar down without dropping under it. Basically just clerked the lift despite pulling it quite high. So he would finish the snatches a little bit frustrated with both himself and with the jury. He'd be credited with 184. Ali Davoudi from Iran, the likely silver medalist. I mean, we've seen him, he hit 250 in a national competition recently, he snatched over 200, he power cleaned 220, so he is the likely silver medalist. He opened up with 191 kilos, looking very comfortable. Manassad then went up to 197, which brought Ali Davoudi back out for 196, which again he hit with apparent ease. And so Assad, looking to secure that 3rd place, knowing that Lasha was going to come out and go into the lead, he then took 197 to try and apply a little bit of pressure on Ali Davoudi, but unfortunately he was denied by all 3 referees. Of course, the Syrian team then challenged. They put in their challenge card, but the jury, though they discussed it for a while, they eventually decided to uphold the referee's initial 3 red light decision. He'd be credited for 190. And so Ali Davoudi now, with quite a large lead, 6 kilos over Manassad, jumped all the way to 200 kilos to try and get that 10 kilo lead, and a rock solid lift showed that the Iranian team was playing a very sensible, smart game here. So one more lifter remained. Lasha Talakadze, he had 3 attempts back to back to back. Now, he wouldn't have just a 2-minute clock, of course. When he makes a lift, he can then declare a weight. Then as long as he changes that within, I think it's 30 seconds before the lift, he can then choose another one and then another. So he can sort of give himself a good 2, almost 3 minutes rest in between some of these attempts. So Lasha had weighed in at exactly 177 kilos, which is the most that he's weighed in at any international competition. He took 208 kilos, a light opener for him, but there is a reason why. Partly it was an Olympic record, but also, and he mentioned this in the Trokti documentary, that the fear that he has is for that first attempt. That's what keeps him up the night before. Once he's made that, it's game time. And for him, he just wanted to secure the fact that he was going to win these Olympics before going on to bigger and better things. So we hit that 208, and it looked like probably a 4x4 snatch session was possible for him at that weight. His second attempt, then he jumped 7 kilos to 215 kilos to extend his Olympic record. Now, despite this being a weight that only 5 weightlifters ever have hit in competition, if you know who they are, comment down below, he didn't make it look much harder than an opener. In fact, it looked like an opener. In fact, it looked like an easier opener than most other people would open with, but it was his second attempt and an historic lift in its own right. There was then a tense moment at this point because it looked like Lasha might take 221 because that's what they put in. And they were running down the clock a little bit too close for comfort. I had been saying before this that he's going to snatch 223. I put it on my Instagram before he came out, before the session started, saying 223. So I really wanted him to do that. It would have been a 1 kilo personal record, all-time world record snatch. Unfortunately, just before that 30-second mark, head coach Georgi Asanidze came over, changed that 221 to a 223, so we were going to see a new world record. Of course, we've seen 225 from him in training. It didn't look like the easiest snatch, but it looked pretty good, so it was kind of interesting to see how would competition affect him. He stepped up to the 223, and he made that lift look easier than any of his other third attempt snatches from his career, and I genuinely mean that. He was on another level today. He looked like all of his attempts were one back. What his usual first attempt looked like was what his usual last warm-up attempt looked like. His second is first. This third attempt looked like a second attempt. Looked like he could have gone on for a 227 if he'd had that as a possibility. I'm sort of tempted to message Idubbbf and ask him to bring back that 4th attempt world record that they used to have back in the day. But of course, we'd have to just sit there and watch this 223. It was a pleasure to watch. A new world record for Lasha as he took a 23 kilo lead over Ali Davoudi into the clean and jerks. And so now the clean and jerks opened up with Enzo Kaworgi, just 20 years of age from the Netherlands. He came out and hit 225 kilos, which is very, very close to his personal record. And of course, the loaders will have been super pleased because we started at 225, so we had those 4 reds on the bar, so they weren't going to have to do any particularly awkward plate changes. Manasad then came out for 228, looking to basically probably secure up that bronze medal. Two of the referees pressed red, but this time the jury intervened again, but they're on the lifter's side. They overturned that decision. It was a good lift. You've put 299 kilos for David Leaty's open and clean and jerk here. Big opener from David Leaty. Yeah, that would have put some pressure on Lasha, actually. Would that have beaten Lasha?
I think that would have been. I think a 299 kilo opener would have been enough. Yeah.
I don't know if it would. 299 add 178, 477 total. So he wouldn't have beaten Lasha.
He'd have medalled.
He'd have medalled, yeah, and a world record clean and jerk. So David Leaty actually came out at 229 kilos. There was no need for the jury here because he hit a very solid secure jerk. After Hoj Mohammed, Toychev then took a comfortable 230 kilos. He would have felt that he had a shot at a medal because he was now at this point just 4 kilos behind Manasad. Jiří Orsag from the Czech Republic came out for his opening attempt at 232 kilos, a pretty heavy opener for him. Tremendous clean, nice jerk, but for some reason, rookie schoolboy textbook error, and he dropped the barbell before he got the down signal, so he got a no lift. Enzo Quorgi then took a 233 kilo personal record attempt, but his elbows dropped a little bit. I think there was an elbow to knee touch, which is a no lift, and so he had to let go of the lift. Ali Davoudi in the second place after the snatches behind Lasha, 10 kilos over Manasad, came out with a nice 234, just continuing this very sensible game plan to secure the silver medal. One of the referees didn't like the lockout, but he got the lift, setting a 434 kilo total, 16 kilos ahead of his nearest competitor at this point. Part of me was terrified that he was going to continue the Behdad Salimi's nightmare that was Rio 2016 with the press outs, but fortunately he broke Iran's curse there. Also the fact that Iran only sent 2 male weightlifters, and the last one yesterday bombed out. So, we were kind of worried for Iran here. It looked like the only real battle would now be for bronze, considering just how well Ali Davoudi just did. Assad helped his prospects with a nice 234 kilos to then open up a 10 kilo lead over Toychev, so he was looking pretty cozy in bronze. Enzo Quorgi somehow, I don't know how he made this lift, it was just an unbelievable fight of the session. 234 kilos, he got under it, kept his elbows up nicely this time, somehow stood up. Once he stood up, I said, this is going to be a made lift because he's great at the jerk. It was actually a little wobbly. Considering how strict they've been at this competition, I was actually a bit surprised, but they gave it. So the referees actually gave it a good lift, and then the jury had a little look, they pondered, they discussed, and then they eventually said, you know what, it was a good lift. So they gave him the 234. So that would mean Enzo Quorgi would end 175-234, phenomenal lifting from him. Toychev's challenge for the bronze medal over Manasad seemed like a fool's errand when he attempted 235 kilos but wasn't able to make it, so not enough to catch Manasad. His chances were further reduced when the referees deemed that he did not complete the lockout. Jiří Orsag from the Czech Republic, having dropped the 232 early, this time moved up, came out for his second attempt at 235. It seemed like his thumb tape failed him on his third attempt, which is somewhat embarrassing, seeing as he sells his own thumb tape, but he ended up losing his grip and flying off backwards. Michaela Breeze absolutely savaged him, saying that perhaps he should try out for the gymnastics team at the next Olympic Games, which a little bit harsh considering he probably weighs about 160 kilos. But that put him in a do-or-die position because he'd missed 2 of his 3 lifts, so he would have 1 attempt remaining. He came out again for 235 kilos. This time the clean was fine, but agonizingly he lost the barbell behind, and so Jiří Orsag would bomb out of Tokyo. David Leaty then took a 5 kilo international personal record attempt at 236 kilos. He'd done 231 before. On his second attempt, he absolutely nailed both the clean and the jerk before just screaming. He was so pumped, so pleased with that lift before he headed to the back room, once again put his headphones on. Perhaps listening to the Weightlifting House podcast, who knows. Ali Davoudi then took 240 kilos to put the silver medal beyond doubt over Manasad, but he missed it. He was unable to lock out. So was the door open for Manasad? Thing is, Manasad has threats himself though. So first up was Toychev taking 241 kilos to try and put pressure on the Syrian. It was not to be though, and he put the bar down without even getting it to the knees. So technically it didn't actually count as an attempt because the bar has to pass the knees, so he left the stage and then the clock kept going and then the clock timed him out. And so only David Leety could now challenge Man Assad for the bronze medal. He also tried 241 kilos to force another lift from the Syrian, but sadly for him, he couldn't get under the clean. But he didn't seem too upset. I mean, he went 2 for 3 in the snatch, 2 for 3 in the clean and jerk, personal record in that clean and jerk, and he did his classic kiss, blow the chalk everywhere thing that he does, which just... I'm just so happy for him. He's such a nice guy, such a fun weightlifter to watch. So fantastic performance from David Leety. The fact that people had then tried to beat Man Assad for the bronze but had failed meant that Man Assad could now safely take a shot at trying to overtake Davoudi for the silver medal. The Syrian team raised his attempt, which would then bring out Ali Davoudi first at 241 kilos because Man Assad would need 242 to overtake him. When the Iranian, though, then ended up hitting that lift at 241 kilos, put him at 441 kilos in the total, that would make Man Assad's challenge over. The Syrian came out for 242 kilos anyway. He got the clean, but he couldn't secure the jerk. So nevertheless, he would take home the bronze medal. And amazingly, his two coaches that didn't look too big picked up Man Assad and sort of carried him off, which was probably a personal record in the carry for them. And so Lasha was now the only lifter remaining. His opener at 245 kilos was routine as expected, gave him an Olympic record in the total. He then came out for 255 kilos on his second attempt. It seems almost strange to just be glossing over such big lifts quickly, but we've just become so accustomed to Lasha hitting them. It almost feels like we need to get past them to talk about his final attempts. And so the real question was at this point, what's he going to go for? Obviously, he holds a world record at 264 kilos, so could it be 265? Get the blue on. The all-time world record is 266 from Taranenko. Is it going to be 267 for an all-time and then to get that 490 total? My predictions for him for the last probably 6 months, I've been saying it, have been 223, 267, 290. He put in for 265 and I was waiting and waiting and waiting, thinking, surely Georgi Yasinidze's going to go over to that table and just change that to 267, but he didn't do it. Lasha Talakadze is going to keep us hanging for one more competition before I'm sure we finally see that all-time 267. So he'd come out for 265 kilos for his final attempt, a new world record. So Lasha stepped to the platform, he gripped the bar, he lifted the bar, he made the clean easily. Again, like I said, he was making his third attempts here look like his normal second attempts. The jerk was so solid. It was as solid as any jerk we've ever seen from him. And so he set a new clean and jerk world record at 265 kilos, a new total world record at 488 kilos. That now puts him 13 kilos over the heaviest total from any other weightlifter ever, 475 from Taranenko, and moves him 3 kilos further ahead of his last world record total of 485 on his climb for 500 kilos, his lifetime goal. Guys, this has been such a phenomenal Olympic Games. I know there were people who were concerned about the fact that there would be some athletes not there who perhaps should have been, but every single session at this Olympics was extraordinary. There were some great battles, there were some great world records, there were some upsets. I was on the edge of my seat for so many of these sessions. I'm really pleased that at Weightlifting House we took the time to watch, record, put all of the results and news up on the website, write scripts, create videos for every session, get it out to all of you who weren't necessarily able to watch. It's been a lot of hard work. It's been late nights, it's been early mornings for all of us here, but I think we did the right thing and I hope you guys all agree. If you've enjoyed all of these videos, make sure you subscribe to Weightlifting House on YouTube, like the videos, comment, head over to the Instagram, head over to the website, 15% off the Lasha, I believe, and if you want extra content, head over to the Patreon page. It's just $4 a month. It's the price of a mocha frappuccino latte, and you get loads of extra content. Guys, Tokyo 2020, it's been a blast, and we'll see you all next time.